Hello, Anna. Good afternoon to you. Thanks for taking time to talk to me. It's a bit of a conversation between you and me, and I'm going to have this onto the Ethiopian Digest website, its YouTube account and Facebook account. So before we go further, let me just know who Anna is. Tell us a bit about you.
So my name is Anna Chojnicka. Thank you for having me here. It's always really nice to speak to you, Bekele. So I'm from London, from the UK. I'm part Italian, part Polish as well. So I remember you saying that you're a citizen of the world. I feel like I'm also a citizen of the world. I've lived in different places and yeah, I'm from here and there. I work in social entrepreneurship. So a social entrepreneur, if you don't know what that is somebody who identifies a challenge faced by society or by a community, and then they develop a solution to that challenge, which is underpinned by a business model. So it's basically doing business for good, for a good social purpose. And I started my career as a social entrepreneur myself, and then I moved over to supporting other social entrepreneurs, so people who are developing businesses to improve people's lives and helping them to do that.
Thanks, Anna. I know you write a lot. You're very often on social media. You use your banana arts to express your feelings and send important messages. And I've also seen a lot you have done on Ethiopia, lots of bananas actually on Ethiopia. And why Ethiopia? And why bananas?
It's a good question. So I've started doing banana art just this year, actually. So since the coronavirus crisis came and we were in lockdown, I'm now living back in London, but for the last 4 years, I was living in Addis in Ethiopia. And when I moved back here to London, I was very clear in my mind that I wanted to stay connected to Ethiopia because I love Ethiopia so much. It was such an important part of my life and will remain an important part of my life and always, in my heart. So I knew I wanted to stay connected to Ethiopia. I have many, many friends, Ethiopian friends who still live in Addis. So it was very important to me. When I started to do banana art, that was something really new for me. It was just something that came about quite randomly when I was in isolation and lockdown, and started doing these drawings and then putting them out on social media. People responded really positively to them. And so I continued to do it every single day. I've been doing a banana every day since the beginning of lockdown. And I started to do banana art that had a connection with Ethiopia. So it began by marking days like Fasika, for example. I did a banana for Easter in Ethiopia, and then I did like the Jabena for Ethiopian Buna, and several other Ethiopian pictures. And then in the months that led from that, when there was a lot of news about the GERD, the dam, I started to draw bananas that were showing support for the dam, because I know that it's really important for Ethiopia, but also having worked in social entrepreneurship in Ethiopia, I know the social impact that it can bring about. So it can really help lift people out of poverty, and particularly, supporting women and in rural communities and children as well as men as well. And so I wanted to show support, and then it just had a really amazing response. And what it meant is that it created this connection back for me between myself and Ethiopia, because I had people responding to my bananas on social media, particularly on Twitter, in such a nice way that it was just something really unexpected but really beautiful for me.
Thank you. So what makes Ethiopia interesting? Why Ethiopia? I understand you have been to other African countries.
Yeah, so I used to do some work in Uganda and Kenya and Ethiopia, but that was while I was living in the UK. And I felt very strongly connected to Ethiopia when I came to do some work in Addis. Even before I moved, I just had this very strong connection, and I felt, wow, this place is amazing. I really fell in love with the country. I met some amazing people, and I thought, I really want to live here. And I realized as well, to be able to do the work I was doing with any kind of credibility or understanding of the context, I would have to live in the country. It's not possible to do that remotely from the UK. So I decided I wanted to move to Ethiopia. I found a really interesting job. I was running an organization called Reach for Change, which supports Ethiopian social entrepreneurs who are developing social businesses to improve the lives of women, children, and youth across Ethiopia. It was an amazing experience for me. I was there for 4 years. I was the only non-Ethiopian in my organization, so I had a very amazing, interesting experience. It wasn't the typical Ferengi experience of working for an embassy or working for the UN or something. It was really, I was just immersed in the culture, immersed in, Addis life. Most of my friends are Ethiopian, and I just got to feel and sense how incredible the culture is. Ethiopia is such a unique place. Everything, so many things about Ethiopia are unique. The music, the dress, the language, the alphabet, even the calendar, the food. So many things about Ethiopia are very unique and special to Ethiopia. So I just found it such an amazing place to be. And as well as Addis, I lived in Addis, so that's the place I spent most of my time, but I was lucky enough to visit all different parts of Ethiopia. So I went to the Danakil Depression in Afar, I went to Lalibela, I went to the church Abuna Yematagu as well, up in the cliff, which was incredible. I went down to Arba Minch, to Harar. So all these amazing places that I was able to visit just showed me what an incredible country Ethiopia is. So diverse, and the people are just so friendly and open. And I had an incredible experience. And I always tell people here in the UK and people that I meet abroad, you have to go to Ethiopia. It's somewhere that's unlike anywhere else in the world.
Thank you so much. Very interesting, actually, to hear all those from you. As you would be aware, there's a bit of a crisis in Ethiopia as we speak. And as someone very much connected to Ethiopia, how do you feel?
It's very sad, of course, to see what's happening and to see the country in crisis. I feel that as an international person, it's very important for me not to get involved in the internal affairs of Ethiopia. And so I don't want to kind of give any political opinion, but I just really feel so much sympathy for Ethiopians in Ethiopia and also abroad who are just really worried about the future of their country. And of course, I feel so much sympathy, and my heart goes out to the people who are suffering. And I hope that a peaceful resolution can be found as quickly as possible.
That's good. So you see, a lot written on Western media, and very often when the Western media talks about Ethiopia, it talks about the famine that happened a couple of decades ago. And, you have been in Ethiopia, you know Ethiopia very well. So is that the Ethiopia you know?
Arabaka? Ethiopia, betam konjo no. No, that's not the Ethiopia I know. In fact, when I come across people who have that opinion of Ethiopia, I just have to correct them, because no, that is not the Ethiopia I know. Of course, there were challenges, and there continue to be challenges, as there are in every country. But the Ethiopia I know is, like I say, one that is full of incredible culture. In Addis, there's when I was there, there's just so much progress taking place. You have, for example, poetry. There's something called Poetic Saturdays that happens at Fendika in Addis Ababa, in Kazanchis, every Saturday of the first Saturday of the month. You have young people expressing themselves creatively and supporting each other, and you have an art scene, Addis Fine Art, that is bringing all these amazing young Ethiopian artists to the international stage as well. I recently saw that Salome Muleta, I think is her name, she did exhibition at Addis Fine Art Gallery, which is now also, the gallery is opened up in London, so it's going international. You have, jazz, Ethiopian jazz at African Jazz Village. You have also like a new electronic music scene that is growing, for example. All these really amazing new cultural progressions that are happening, not to mention like business and technology, and there's so much that's going on, not to mention just the people who are, like I say, all the people I've come across are just really warm, kind people who want the best for their country and are making progress and are creating new innovative businesses, and so much positive progression that's happening. So this is the Ethiopia that I know, and I know will continue to develop as well.
It's really interesting. Interesting, especially for me, when you mention Kazanches.
Yeah.
That's what I was born and raised.
Yeah.
So,
actually,
yes, go ahead.
One of my favorite venues in Addis is Vendika in Kazanches. So they do all sorts of like cultural events, and then music. Every Monday they have a jazz night. There's an art gallery there. It's like you meet all different kinds of people from all over the world, as well as Ethiopians. It's a great place.
We live in London. I also live in London, and we have traveled a lot. But what makes London even outstanding is we have got citizens of the whole world. If I'm not mistaken, it's only in London and New York that we have all citizens of the world. But people live in harmony, in peace. Nobody cares about you. They all live their lives. And we've been living in Addis as well, which is a cosmopolitan city, one of the most cosmopolitan cities in the world. So what's living in London, comparing it to Addis, what's your hope for Addis?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I would say both, as you mentioned, both cities are very cosmopolitan. London is very international, and people from all over the world, and for the most part we live well together, but there are still challenges in London, and definitely it's not like a perfect place to aspire to, but it is a great city. But Addis it has got so much going for it. It's got the culture, like I mentioned, it's got the arts, the music, and the traditional culture, as well as the more modern culture. It's also got huge business potential. You have Addis Ababa as a international hub of Africa, as well as globally. You have Ethiopian Airlines, the new airport that's being expanded. You have then smaller businesses and startups that are developing all the time, innovations. You have like innovation hubs like Addis, for example, that are supporting young Ethiopian entrepreneurs to develop, tech startups that will really pave the way for the future of Ethiopia as a tech hub in Africa. You have all sorts of business, social enterprise. Reach for Change is now working in many different regions across Ethiopia, supporting young entrepreneurs. You have the dam, which will really help to electrify Ethiopia and lift people out of poverty, and free people's time up so that they can explore new careers. And I think there's so much brightness in the future of Ethiopia. I'm excited to see how it is able to reach the potential that it has, because it's so huge. And then also there's tourism. I think that with all of the places that I've seen, like I say, I mean, there's few places in the world that have as much to offer as a country than Ethiopia, because you have all different types of landscapes, you have hiking, outdoor activities, culture, history, religion. Like Ethiopia has a melting pot of religions as well, and that's an incredible thing to be able to visit and experience. And so yeah, I would like to see Addis and the rest of Ethiopia be able to really draw out the potential of all of this that it has to offer, and then for the rest of the world to be able to see this, and for more people to visit and to see what I see, and to fall in love with Ethiopia as well.
Thanks, Anna. It was really great to talk to you. I was just talking to you, on behalf of Ethiopian Digest. So before we conclude, final question to you. Anything you want to say to Ethiopians. Any message you have got for Ethiopians? Anything in America as well?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed this conversation, Bakala. And to Ethiopians, I want to say thank you as well for helping me make Ethiopia a real home for 4 years and for making me feel so welcome. And again, Addis Ababa እንገናኝ።
አመሰግናለሁ። አንድ ቀን አዲስ አበባ እንገናኛለን።
እሺ፣ አመሰግናለሁ።